review for Wednesday, September 25th. So we got a short signal here at market open at 9:36 a.m. And you can see, so this is the Bollinger Band, upper and lower bands, and then this is the VWAP. You can see the ES 1 minute at the top and VIX at the bottom so that we can align what happened for confirmation. You can see a blue triangle and red bands in reversion bands. And while so this is the 48 cloud that goes, that brown cloud that goes like that. So we are below it. We're also below the VWAP. So that gives us a short bias. So we prefer shorts. They are better probabilities in this case. And for a long signal, we need more confirmation because it's going against the bias. So let's look at this. So we get a short signal. It worked really well. We get a nice move down. This then could start looking like a trap, but it's not. But let's just zoom in and look at that. So we can see here that we're rejecting that upper level. We have strong, you see these vertical bars, that is the money flow. So the money flow says, hey, all the money is going to shorts, okay? And so this gives us more credibility of the red dots, the blue triangles. So strong bias down, nice move down. And this is close to 10 a.m. and many times there's a change in direction around 10 a.m. So this would have been a great bear trap and then moving up. So when you see these impulsive moves down, you definitely want to lock in, profit and then see what happens. So we get a decent bounce, and let's see. We then never get, as you can see here, we never get a long signal. So even though we get some yellow buying pressure, and looks like these guys are buyers are making progress, you can see us rejecting the VWAP. When you're below this 48 cloud that's green there and turned brown there, and you're below the VWAP, you're rejecting a downward sloping VWAP, this is an amazing entry and a low risk because you're risking a little bit of money, because if you're wrong, you stop out for a small loss. But if you're right, look at this amazing move down. So this was the trade of the day right there. Even though we got a short signal right there, that's where you wanted to go to. Then your first big profit would have been, obviously, as soon as you approach the low of the day at that time, which is around here, and you can see that's what everyone did. So there's a little bit of a bounce there. But then we get a re-entry triangle. So yellow, blue, small 1 minute triangles. That's what I call a re-entry triangle. So the 2 minute larger triangle is short, 1 minute is short, but then it goes yellow blue, and this whiplash is a much stronger signal for that trend continuation. So you see a strong move down. You can stay in. So the next take profit is basically at the previous day's low there, and because you could have a bounce there, but what happens is we keep going. So you're locking more. You keep your runners while you're below the alpha zone. You can see this alpha zone is nice and respected. Price stays below it. And as soon as we change from blue buying pressure to yellow, or we break into the alpha zone, that's where you can lock in your runners, because now you locked in quite a bit. We get a decent bounce up there. We get a long signal, but this was not a great long signal. Uh, well, I mean, so you have the signal, but because we're below the 48, you're below the VWAP, you need more confirmation. You need an alpha zone that starts spreading its legs. And you can see that we barely cross over. So yes, the bulls are making progress, but the alpha zone, the thick line, is still at the bottom all the way here. So you don't have that full confirmation. Once you have it, you can see that you're making progress, but then we reject the upper band, which is very common on mean reversion days. And we keep going, but then the second rejection here basically is that nail in the coffin. And I wanted to show you, look at this long wick here at the top. So not only do we have a double top, but this long wick right there is definitely it does, give the Bears the confidence. This was a stop run here at that high, intraday high, and that was another great short for the move down. You could also see the red bands there, and you could have stayed in the straight until you lost the red bands. Or again, you're going into the alpha zone. Even though there's a little bit of progress here by the bulls, they're still below the alpha zone. So you stay below the alpha zone on a short, you can still keep your runners in. Now, if you don't have runners, obviously, then you can lock in your trade. But runners are usually good while you stay below the alpha zone. It just really depends on how much risk you're willing to take. You can see very choppy. Furthermore, now we get another long signal, but this time, it looks a little bit better because we have the alpha zone, the thick line is above. We have a nice move. And I always lock in profits on a big candle like this because they tend to reverse, and usually it's a chase. Now, if you get a squeeze, it can keep going, and if you look left, you can see that there was definitely a little bit of a squeeze going on there, but it obviously didn't last long. And as soon as you saw the sideways action, then you definitely wanted to tighten up those stops. Now, again, so if you locked in profits there, it ended this long signal definitely came to fruition once you started getting this 2-minute triangle confirmation here. And this would have been, good entry, but it's not something I would take because my next take profit would be at the 48 band, which is this orange cloud, or this upper band. So your profit target is just too close to the entry. And so this was not really a good trade in my opinion, even though it definitely worked. But the best entry was the rejection of the VWAP after the signal. Initial signal was good if you got that, and then also this big wick at the top, giving it a double top rejection right there.